Hey guys, I'm Mario Bros. J, and welcome to the biggest video I have ever made. Yes, I'm not joking. Even the old SML video I did a few months back isn't nearly as much as this. So, the Junior era. This is an era I've had conflicting opinions on for years now. I can't really decide whether I like it or hate it, and I don't really know if it's in between either. I don't know why, but this era is just so weird to me. Like, it's just kind of weird to talk about, considering how long it is. Not only that, but how much people like this era. Seriously. But I guess it's time for me to get my full thoughts on the Junior era out. I'm Mario Bros. J, and let's begin with the Junior era. Let's start with the most important thing about any plush video, the characters. Like a whole lot of the era, the characters of the Junior era are things I love and hate. So let's just go through all of them. Let's start with the namesake of the era, Bowser Jr. Now I must stress this alone. Outside of this era, including every single piece of SML media Junior has ever been in, he's a decent character. Just looking at this era, however, he's abysmal. All Junior did during this entire era was be annoying, torture characters, and, well, just be rude to other characters. Let's just not kid ourselves. Junior was so annoying that even hardcore SML fans at the time hated him. And that's kind of saying something, since these are the same guys who defended videos like Shrek's Crappy Wish. I just really do not like Junior in this era, which is kind of a problem considering that he's in 95% of the videos. I mean, yeah, sometimes he's good, but you can pretty much say that about every character in SML's history. I mean, 90% of the time, the entire plot of the episode happens because of Junior. So yeah, Junior is a character I don't enjoy very much, especially just given the context of the era. So let's look at some other characters, like Joseph. Again, outside of the era, Joseph is, fine, I guess. And the same can pretty much be applied here. Except his character is pretty one-note with not much personality. Joseph, for the most part of this era, was pretty much just that one kid who was friends with Junior, loved being cool, and, well, decided against Cody along with Junior. And for the longest time, that's all he was. It wasn't until the Jeffy era and beyond where he started to actually get a character flaw and, well, actual character traits. They might have not been good character traits, but they were still character traits. Like Junior, Joseph is kind of a jerk to most people around him, although unlike Junior, he isn't nearly as annoying. So yeah, Joseph is also kind of a mid-tier character. But let's get to a character I actually quite enjoy, Cody. Unlike Joseph, and to a lesser extent Junior, I feel like Cody is actually better in this era than he ever has been otherwise. Unlike modern Cody, where he just feels the need to shove a gay joke in your face until you finally get the point that he's gay, this Cody is a lot more nerdy and logical, which I guess modern Cody is, still is kinda, but not nearly as much. It's almost like Cody's two main personalities were switched. In these videos, he loved to reference the fact that he's a nerd and pretty much knows everything, only hinting that he's gay sometimes. Modern Cody feels the need to shove gay jokes in your face until you get the point, and only references that he's nerdy sometimes. But besides that, Cody is great. He's funny, he's quirky, he has an actual personality unlike the other two characters, and he's just enjoyable to watch. I don't really have much to say. Cody is a pretty good character in this era. Moving on to Bowser, I would love to compare him to his MLSDA counterpart, which I'm just going to call Series Bowser. Series Bowser was a very serious and very threatening villain. Well, unless we're talking about Season 1, but even then he was threatening in a different way. For the majority of Season 2, he just kind of loomed in the shadows, but his presence was still felt alongside the entire rest of the series. This Bowser, however, does nothing but sit in his room, yell at Chef Pee Pee, and watch Charlie and Friends. I just explained his entire personality in one sentence. Bowser in these videos is just so incredibly boring. He only does the same 3 things: beat Junior, yell at Chef Pee-Pee, and watch Charlie and Friends. It's even worse when considering that Bowser, very much like Junior, is a utter jerk to pretty much every single character. However, at least with Bowser, it kind of fits his personality, but it's just bad. Let's just not forget that. And Bowser appears in a good majority of these videos too, so it's kind of worrying that only one character out of the 4 I have mentioned within the past minute or so is actually good. But let's move on to Chef Pee-Pee. Now, I'm just going to say this right now. Chef Pee-Pee is the best character and the best thing about this era. He's funny, he's in a majority of the videos, which just gives him more remarkability. He's a great foil to Junior, at least when Cody's not around. And he's just a super fun character to watch. Whether he's mad, sad, happy, or just being himself, he's just pretty good. He, along with Cody, but to a lesser extent, has probably the most sympathetic character traits, as he's always getting tortured by characters like Junior. I mean, yeah, the Chef Pee-Pee torture was absolutely atrocious in this era, and I'm just kind of surprised why they used it so much. But the one upside to seeing Chef Pee-Pee torture is that we got to see more Chef Pee-Pee, which in my opinion is always a good thing. You know, unless we're talking about modern Chef Pee-Pee, in which case he barely appears and doesn't really have a personality at all, but let's just forget that that character exists. Finally, to end off the character section, I want to briefly talk about Toad, as he's probably the, well, most recurring side character. While I like Toad, I must admit, his Junior era appearances are very weak. All he really is that cool friend that sometimes shows up. His character doesn't really amount to anything more than that. The best part about his character, and I mean this with no exaggeration, are his rap songs. These things are so catchy, I would honestly unironically listen to them. Although I will admit, I do miss when Logan would release them as standalone videos, alongside, well, him just placing them in the middle of a video. I don't know why, I just don't feel like SML is a channel that should have rap songs plastered in the middle of their video. But finally, 7 minutes into the video, we've gotten a character section done. Overall, the characters of this era are very weak in my opinion, only 2 of which I would consider good, and the rest are just kind of mid-tier. And let's not forget that a large majority of these characters treat other characters like trash, and that's the worst thing about them. They're just so toxic to other people, primarily Junior, Joseph, and Bowser. I mean, like I said earlier, with Bowser it kinda makes sense, since he is the quote-unquote villain of the era. But Junior and Joseph not only appear more frequently, but are also the main characters of the videos, so it's even worse when they're massive jerks. But next up, I want to talk about the stories. Probably the second most important thing about a Plus channel. Wow, who would have guessed it? These are also very weak. Okay, I don't really mean that they're all bad. There are some creative videos in here. But I really want to highlight one very important thing that this era does a lot. For the sake of convenience, I'm going to call what I'm talking about the formulaic Junior era video style. The reason I call it that is because this sequence of events I'm about to showcase happens in pretty much every Junior video. And yes, I mean then and now. The video either starts in the kitchen or in Bowser's room. Junior will show up asking for something, and then in both scenarios, it will always be forced on Chef Pee-Pee. And then the plot goes as normal, although most of the time the videos are just Junior messing around, being annoying, sometimes inviting his friends over, and, well, yeah. This happens for 90% of the videos. And I feel like this is when SML started going in a downward spiral when it comes to quality. No, I don't mean camera or audio quality. If anything, that's actually gotten better. I mean an overall enjoyment I get from the videos. You see, I think this era was when Logan realized that if he just stuck to a safe formula that most people liked, that he can basically do whatever he wants without, well, any fan intervention. And I feel like this is the primary reason why modern SML was so boring to me. All of it's just the same, and it's just so boring. Oh yeah, and like I mentioned in a 2014 rant, which came out almost 2 years ago, dear lord, this is when Logan started using the upload schedule, which I listed as one of the main problems with that year, and by extension, modern SML. And I still stand by that. I do not like the upload schedule. The reason why I do not like the upload schedule is because I feel like Logan is focusing too much on ensuring a consistent schedule rather than overall quality, which is why modern SML has been slumping lately. 2 videos a week is pretty hard to maintain, and Logan has been doing this for almost 8 years. I feel like Logan has just been in a constant state of burnout due to the upload schedule. I mean, God forbid, if he just took a small break and ensured the fans that new videos will be better than ever, and they'll probably eat it up since they have 0 functioning brain cells, no offense to those who actually do have functioning brain cells. But no, instead he thinks that if he takes a small break and doesn't upload a video on time, every single fan will turn against him and call him an evil liar. God, I hate modern SML. Or are we talking about, oh yeah, the junior era videos. Not only is this plot structure way too repetitive for my taste, but it also just doesn't feel right. Compared to the classic era, where every video had its own consistent but unique structure, the junior era 6-1, and 1 only, the formulaic junior era video style I just mentioned. Oh, and this era is also when SML started becoming more of a sitcom rather than a Mario Plus channel. Now, I have no problems with sitcoms. I think they're funny in their own unique way, and they are pretty entertaining to watch. My problem is this happened immediately after the classic era. But I won't get into that. If you really want more insight on why I like the classic era over this, just go watch my old SML video I made a few months back. But let's go into the fanbase section before I lose my mind due to how bad this plot structure is. The fan base of this era was... It wasn't terrible by any means. If anything, it was pretty decent for one very important thing which I'll mention later. While there were some annoying people, like the junior fanboys, who were pretty much the Jeffy fanboys, except not nearly as bad, and just some toxic SML haters for some reason, this fanbase was pretty much saved by one very important thing that sort of came to prevalence in this era, the SML reviewing community. Yes, this community was very prevalent during this era, and is the one saving grace for the fanbase. This, honestly, was the best time to be an SML fan, and I am saying that in comparison to the classic era too. The classic era had better videos and a more intact fanbase, but the SML reviewing community for the junior era just makes up for it in every single way. We had people like WH Jude, an SML reviewer, and many more. The sad thing about the reviewing community, though, is that, it kinda doesn't exist anymore. I mean, yeah, it's still there, but it's far less prevalent than it once was, especially with such big players like WH Jude, SML reviewer, Math Dominus, and the SMR leaving. Although Math Dominus has recently come back for some weird reason. Not saying he should quit, but, you know. Finally, to finish out this long video, let's talk about the impact on the channel. So, overall, how do people look back on this era, and what did it bring to the table when it comes to SML? Well, this era introduced one of the most, if not the most popular SML character, Bowser Jr., along with Junior, Joseph, Bowser, Chef PP, and Toad to a lesser extent. This era also brought the SML reviewing community, which was very prevalent during the time. As for how people look back on this era, it's actually more positive than I would have expected. You see, a lot of people joined during the Junior era. A notable example would be Super Mario Nick, which I'll talk about him in a later video. So, ironically, this era has more nostalgic people watching and loving it than the classic era, which a lot of people think the fan base of that era is toxic and just don't know how to change. Oh boy, I have a lot of video ideas stacked up for the future. People love the Junior era. I'm not saying it's bad. But as for me, honestly, this era just doesn't hit me the same way people think it does. Now, that's not saying I hate this era. I do understand why people like it, and there's even some enjoyable key aspects like Chef PP, Cody, and some of the videos that were released, primarily during the later parts of this era. This might be some of my old bias showing, but I think the classic era is better in almost every way. I just feel like it's more fleshed out and more structured, ironically. And I don't mean that in terms of, well, the plot has to go this way, cause that's what the channel needs. No, I just like these videos more. I can't really explain why. It's a mixture of nostalgic feeling and also just me liking them better. As I mentioned, the biggest problem with the Junior era is by no far the upload schedule, which is just so bad. Not only that, but the formulaic Junior era video style that was, well, kind of created due to the upload schedule is also not very pleasant. The characters, for the most part, are pretty not so good. And I don't know, this era is just a mixed bag for me. I don't hate it, but I certainly don't love it either. But hey, that's my opinion, and you can have your own. Anyway, I'm Mario Bros J, and I'll see you in the next video.